What is it, Father?
You're feeling worse?
I'm getting to the end of my tether.
Why don't you go home and at least try to sleep?
Take to my bed, you mean? And never get up again?
Then why not a short walk in the fresh air? It's a lovely evening.
Yes, go along. After all those hours you've spent in there. I'll come with you.
I don't leave this house before seeing him.
Oh, no. Please wait.
Why do you want to see him?
To have things out once and for all.
No, Father. It's much better to wait.
Have I the time to wait?
Don't say such things, please. Here he is.
Have they gone?
No.
Well, my dear, what are you busying yourself with now?
I was just entering the figures.
Tell me, will you? This column, is it? Kaya.
Yes.
Why do you always take off that eye shade whenever I come near you?
Because I look so horrid in it.
And you don't like the idea of looking horrid, is that it?
Not in front of you. I couldn't bear it.
Poor little Kaya.
Hush. They may hear.
Did anybody call?
Yes, sir, the Lurstron couple.
Lurstron?
Yes, you promised them you built them a house out at Lurstron.
Oh, then.
Well, they were wondering if you were anywhere near starting on a blueprint.
Well, I'm afraid they'll have to wait. I haven't yet made up my mind about the preliminary sketch, let alone a blueprint.
Well, they seem very eager to see something as soon as possible.
I know. The same old story.
Both of them made a point of telling my son how they were longing to move into their own home.
Exactly. That's what they all say. Get in quick, sacrifice the work. To hell with that. Any house will do. A home, they say. Settle for life inside some botched-up roof and four walls. No, thank you. That's not for Halvard Solness. Next time those two call, tell them to try somebody else.
Somebody else? You mean hand the whole thing over to another architect?
Certainly. I will not be dictated to. Once and for all, I will not be a party to slipshod building. I will not countenance it. Anyway, what do I know about these people?
Oh, they're a reliable couple. Ragnar here knows them well. Says they're highly respected.
Reliable, respectable? What in God's name has that to do with it? Don't you understand what I'm getting at either? I don't know these people and I wash my hands of them.
Are you serious?
I'm dead serious. Am I ever anything else?
Mr. Solness?
Yes?
May I have a word with you, sir?
Of course.
Kaya, will you wait in there?
Are you sure it's wise?
Do as I say, my dear. Close the door after you. I don't want those two to guess how poorly I am.
I've noticed you're not looking at all well lately.
Every day I get lower and lower. I feel it every day.
Oh, sit down, do.
May I?
Of course.
Thank you, sir.
Well, Brovik, what is it?
It's my son in there. What's to become of him?
I don't follow you.
Well, what is his future to be?
His future? Isn't his future assured? He can stay here under me as long as he likes.
Well, that's exactly what he has no wish to do. What he's not sure about at the moment. You see, sir, it's 11 years now.
I see. Money, is it? I should have thought he'd have put away a fair sum by now. But if he thinks I ought to consider a rise, well, I'm perfectly willing.
Oh, no, Mr. Solness, it isn't that at all. It's just that he, too, sooner or later, should be granted the chance of striking out for himself.
Strike out? What makes you think he's equipped to do such a thing?
That's what worries me. You see, sir, you've never... Well, excuse me, but you've never had one encouraging word to say to me about him. By now I'm beginning to have doubts myself, and yet the lad must have talent.
I'm sorry, Brovik, but except for the actual technique of drawing, he still has no thorough grounding in anything.
Well, neither had you when you were in my service, but that didn't prevent you from forging ahead of me and of many others besides.
Can I help it if things turned out well for me?
Oh, they certainly did. For that very reason, surely you cannot have the heart to see me go to my grave without knowing what my boy is capable of. And too, I've always dreamed of seeing him before I go, married to Kaya.
Is it her dream as well?
Oh, not so much hers as his. He brings up the subject every day.
I see. The impatient lover,
Hardly that, sir. They've been engaged 5 years. Mr. Solness, you must pave the way for him to do some work of his own.
But my dear fellow, how the devil can I? I can't just pick commissions for him out of a hat, you know?
Well, there's one commission, and a fine one, going and begging at this very minute. You've only to say yes to him.
Oh, I don't know what you're talking about.
Oh, yes, you do. It's right in front of you, the commission we've just been discussing.
What? The house out at Löfstrand? I intend building that myself.
But you're not interested.
Not interested? Who's implying that, may I ask?
You yourself, just now.
Oh, that. I was just letting off steam. You should know me well enough not to take that too seriously. Do you really think your son is capable of taking over something from me?
Yes, sir, he is. See, for one thing, he knows the family well, and he's made sketches and estimates and everything.
Everything?
Just for fun.
And are they satisfied with his sketches, these people who must ultimately live in that house?
Yes, they are. If you just glance through them and give them your blessing.
Then they let your son go ahead, is that it?
No doubt about it. You see, they approve thoroughly of what he has in mind.
On what grounds?
They say it's something quite new.
New? I see. A change after the old-fashioned stuff I've been churning out, is that it?
Well, they just thought it was different.
Did they sneak in here to see their little friend when I was out?
They came to call upon you, and then they suggested asking if you would be willing to step down.
Step down?
Well, only if you let it be known that you approve his drawings.
I step down in favor of my assistant?
I put that badly. They meant you might withdraw from the contract.
Well, it's the same thing. So, the moment has come, has it, for Halvard Solness to step down? He's to give up his place, is he, to those who are younger? Solness, give up?
Surely there's room in this office for more than one talent.
Well, that's where you're wrong. There isn't. I haven't the slightest intention of stepping down. Not for any talent. Ever. Please remember that.
So, and to go to my grave, am I? With my hopes unfulfilled, with my confidence in my son unjustified.
Yes, let's change the subject, shall we?
No, answer me first, Halvard.
Huh?
I mean, Mr. Solness, am I to die unhappy?
You must die, Brovik, as we all must. As best you can. You can't alter yourself.
So be it.
What? Here, drink this. Oh, my dear fellow, what can I do? I, too, am what I am. Can I alter myself any more than you could? Ragnar, see that your father gets home safely.
What is it?
Here, take my arm. I want to go home.
Yes, of course. Kaya, will you put on your things?
I should like Miss Foshley to stay behind a moment. I've a letter to dictate.
I beg your pardon.
Good night, sir.
Good night.
Sleep well, if you can.
Did you say there was a letter?
There's no letter. Kaya,
Yes?
come here. Come here at once. No, nearer.
What is it?
Is it you I have to thank for this?
For what? What did the old man say?
Is it your plan to get married to my assistant?
Well, Ragnar and I have been engaged for 5 years, but you knew that.
And you think that's long enough, is that it?
Well, it's more Ragnar and his father, really.
Are you in love with him?
I was very fond of him
Was?
before I came here to work.
You're not fond of him any longer. Answer me.
I don't have to answer you. You know perfectly well I'm fond of only one human being and of nobody else in the world.
Yes, that's what you say. And then you calmly propose to walk out. To walk out and leave me to face all that I have to face in this house alone.
I could go on working here, even if Ragnar...
Rang out of the question. If my assistant is to leave me in the lurch and start up on his own, he'll need his wife at his side.
But I don't think I could bear to be parted from you.
Then you must try and prize your fiancé away from these ridiculous ideas. Get married to him if you like, so long as you see that he... Well, persuade him to stay here under me. Get him to see it's the best plan, and then you can stay too, dear Kaya.
Oh, if only that could happen.
The truth being, my dear, that I can't do without you. I must have you here with me every single day.
I'm glad.
Kaya.
I'm so happy you said that. So happy.
There's somebody coming. Get up. Get up at once.
Oh, Halvard.
Aline, my dear, come in.
Oh, I'm interrupting you.
No, not at all. Miss Fosley stayed behind to take down a short letter.
I see.
Did you want me, my dear?
It's just that Dr. Hairdale has called. He's in the drawing room.
But does he necessarily want to see me?
I think as he's here, he would like to shake you by the hand.
I'm sure he would.
Oh, what do you mean?
He's a doctor, isn't he?
Well, yes.
Well, never mind, never mind. I'll be along presently.
Well, don't let it slip your memory, Halvard.
No, no.
It might seem a little rude.
Oh, dear. She doesn't like me. I know she doesn't.
Nonsense. Why should she take against you? She's shy of you, but no more than she is with most people. But perhaps you'd better go now.
Yes, of course.
And this other business, you'll see to it for me.
This other business?
That you should persuade Ragnar to stay in my employ.
Well, if only it were for me to say...
I want the whole thing settled by tomorrow. Do you understand?
Yes. And if he refuses to see reason any other way, I'll even tell him I won't marry him. I'll break it off.
Break it off? My dear, that'd be a very stupid thing to do. Why, do you want to?
Yes. Yes, I do, if it's the only way I can stay here. I must stay with you.
But it's Ragnar that I want to... Well, that is to say...
You mean it because of Ragnar that you've taken an interest in...
What, in you? Of course not. Oh, Kaya, what next? I take an interest in you because I take an interest in you.
Yes.
And that is precisely why you must persuade your fiancé to remain under me here. Well, home.
Yes. Good night.
Good night, my dear. Oh, by the way,
Yes.
Are those his drawings in there?
Yes.
I'd rather like to glance at them after all.
Oh, please do.
Well, for your sake, Kaya. Just leave them there on the table, my dear, will you?
Yes, of course. Good night. Please think well of me.
But, my dear, I always do. Good night, Kaya. Please go.
I'm sorry, Halvard, but the doctor couldn't wait any longer.
Oh, I do beg your pardon. Do come in. That will be all, Miss Fosley.
Oh, Miss Fosley. Have you finished the letter already?
It was a short one, I told you.
Oh, yes, so you did.
And please, Miss Fosley, don't be late in the morning, will you? It's, well, it is so important.
No, I won't. Good night, Doctor. Good night, Mrs. Solness.
Halvard's been so lucky, Doctor, in finding such a devoted secretary. She's become
It's
quite...
very lucky. In 2 years, she's made herself quite indispensable to me.
Exactly what I was going to say.
Can she do bookkeeping as well?
Oh, she's a trained accountant. And being the sort of girl who'll do anything to help.
Yes, of course. It must be a great blessing.
Well, yes, I'll see the doctor out, my dear.
Oh, thank you, Halvard. Is your patient far, Doctor?
On the corner.
Then will you come back and drink tea with us?
I shall be delighted, thank
I'll
you.
have it ready.
Well, I'll be off.
Have you a moment, Doctor?
For you, of course.
Tell me, have you noticed anything about my wife?
Just then, you mean?
Yes. Her attitude towards me. Did you observe anything?
Frankly, yes. It was impossible not to see that she,
Yes?
that she has not any great liking for this lady clerk of yours.
My secretary, Miss Fosley? Yes, of course. I've realized that, too.
Mind you, it's hardly surprising
Ah?
that your wife should faintly resent another woman sharing your company the whole of 6 days out of 7.
Well, perhaps you're right. But I fear that it just can't be helped.
Can't it?
How do you mean?
Wouldn't a male clerk do the work just as well?
The first comer. No, thank you.
It's just that with your wife in this peculiarly weak state, we might easily find this preying on her mind.
If you're asking me to get rid of Kaya Fosley, that I cannot do.
I see. May I ask you a question in confidence?
Certainly.
Women, we know, have in certain matters an infallible instinct.
True.
So when your wife feels as she does towards this young lady, has she not perhaps grounds for doing so?
None.
None?
None whatever, except her own suspicious nature.
I cannot help knowing, forgive me, that you have in your time known a number of women.
True.
With Miss Fosley? Is there nothing of that sort involved?
From my side, nothing.
And from hers?
I must question your right to ask that.
I beg your pardon. I was wondering in a general way about feminine instinct in these matters.
Yes, I'm sure you were. I have to concede, mind you, that in this case my wife's instinct has not led her far astray.
Uh-huh.
Doctor, may I tell you a rather strange story?
I enjoy strange stories.
Well, I don't know if you're aware of it, but some years ago I took old Brovik and his son into my business at a time when everything in the world seemed to have gone wrong for the old man.
Yes, I had heard.
Well, both of them had talent, each in his own way. Then the son decides to get himself engaged. The next step, of course, is to hanker after building on his own professional independence so that he can set up as a family man. That seems to be the craving these days.
Yes, marriage is a bad habit the young have been getting into for generations.
Well, what I mean is I could hardly be expected to see his point of view, for the simple reason that he's indispensable to me.
He too?
What do you mean, he too?
As indispensable as Miss Fosley?
Huh? Yes, and the old father, who has a particular knowledge of estimates of stresses and cubic capacity and all that tiresome detail I've never been able to bother myself with.
Oh, of course.
And along comes the son and wants to set up on his own. We'll hear of nothing else.
He's still with you, however.
Yes, and I'll tell you exactly why. One day, a couple of years ago, just after he first hinted to me that he was restless, Miss Fosley, called to visit him in the office here on some errand.
And you met her?
For long enough to realize that he was head over heels in love with her. And the thought struck me, if I got her into my business as well, he would stay with me.
A shrewd thought, if I might say so.
Not that I put it into words at the time. I just stood here with my eyes fixed on her and said inside myself over and over again, "It will happen, it will. Then I chatted with her about this and that, making myself as friendly as possible.
Naturally.
And she went home. The very next evening, she was back.
And you were alone in here?
Yes, of course, they'd gone home. She behaved as if there was some sort of agreement between us.
About?
About the very thing I had been standing here wishing would happen. What were to be her duties, she asked, and when was she to start?
Very odd. Could it be that she longed to be with the man she loved?
The man she...
Young Ragnar?
Well, that was my impression at first. But once she started to work here, every day she seemed to drift further away from him.
Towards?
Towards me. When I happen to look at the back of her head, she senses my eyes immediately. If I take a single step towards her, I can see her trembling. What do you make of that?
More than enough.
But how do you explain the fact that by just standing silent and wishing intensely that she could come here, I actually made her believe that I had asked her in so many words? Can you account for that?
No. It is one of those phenomena outside a doctor's province.
Yes, I was afraid you'd say that. In the meantime, as far as I'm concerned, her being here has developed into a great nuisance. I have to go on pretending day after day. I'm sorry for the poor girl, needless to say, but what else can I do? For if she decides to desert me, so will he.
Quite. But surely you've told your wife the situation?
No.
Why on earth not?
Because I prefer to let her suspect the worst.
But why?
Because, Doctor, how shall I put it? In allowing her to misjudge me, I feel a sort of satisfaction.
Go on.
You see, I owe my wife a debt of the heart, the mind, the soul.
Of gratitude?
Of guilt.
Of guilt? To your wife?
A debt without bounds, immeasurable. And to know that in this matter of the girl, it is she who is doing me a wrong, is a repayment, however trifling, towards that debt. It enables me to breathe, just for a moment, a little more freely. Can you understand?
It isn't easy.
Then let's say no more about it.
As you please.
But even stopping at this point, though, Doctor, you've managed to get a good deal out of the patient, haven't you?
I don't follow you.
It hasn't escaped my notice that you've been keeping an eye on me.
An eye on you? Why should I?
Because you see me as, you think of me as my wife does.
And how does she think of you?
She has begun to look upon me as a sick man.
Sick? I swear to you that she has never breathed a word about any such thing. My dear friend, what is the matter with you?
She goes about this house thinking I am mad.
Oh, my dear son.
I swear before God she does. And not only that, she's made you believe it too. Oh, I can see it now by the look on your face. It's not so easy, you know, to take me in.
Then let me before God swear that such an idea has never crossed my mind.
Do you really mean that?
Not only that, I'll swear that it has never occurred to your wife either.
No, don't swear that. She may have good reason to contradict you.
What good reason?
Never mind, Doctor, never mind. Let's leave it, shall we? Each clinging to his own conviction.
As you please.
But before we do, as you're so convinced that I'm not ill, out of my senses, mad, whatever you care to call it, I take it you imagine me to be a happy man.
Would it be only imagination if I did? You're not dissatisfied professionally?
No, not at all. Good God, no. I'm happy to be who I am. Thank you.
So you should be. Looking back, don't you agree that you have enjoyed a fantastically fortunate career?
There's no doubt about that.
Beginning life as a penniless country boy. And then from the moment that terrible old barracks you lived in burnt down and you were able to rebuild, you've never looked back. Well, that was a stroke of luck, if you like.
Luck? Not perhaps the happiest way to put it, Doctor. You'll forget that it was my wife's old home, and her parents, too.
But that was a long time ago.
12 years, and she has never recovered from it.
But surely what happened afterwards was the mortal blow to her. Can the fire be looked upon as anything but a godsend? Since when it's been luck, all the way, leaving you the first man in your field.
That is what fills me with dread.
Dread? The fact that you've been fortunate.
The fact that my good fortune must, sooner or later, desert me. Day and night, the feeling is never far from my mind, and it leaves me cold with fright.
But you are more firmly entrenched than ever you have been.
The tide has to turn. I can feel the moment approaching closer and closer. I've only to hear one voice on my doorstep shouting, step down for me, and 100 others will take up the chorus. Make room, make room, make room. Mark my words, Doctor. For me, that voice will sound a death knell. What was that?
The front door.
I'm not expecting anybody.
I'll go and see. Yes? Who is it?
Master Builder Solness, please.
Yes. Won't you come in?
Thank you. Well?
Oh, well, good evening.
Good evening to you, too. I honestly believe you don't recognize me.
I must apologize, but for the moment, I confess that...
But I recognize you.
You do? Oh, yes! Wasn't it you?
Yes, of course it was. We ran across each other last summer in a mountain hut somewhere. What happened to the other ladies?
The ancient ones. Oh, they took themselves off to the west.
I had an idea that they disapproved of the noise we used to make in the evenings.
Do you think they did?
No. You cannot pretend that you didn't flirt with us a little.
No, I can't. Flirting's a lot more fun than knitting socks with a pack of old maids.
I'm forced to agree with you.
Have you been here long? In our town, I mean?
I've just this minute arrived in it. I came straight to you.
Alone, Miss Wangel?
Alone.
Wangel? Is your name Wangel?
It is.
Now, could your father be the doctor up at Lusange?
He could indeed. In fact, he is.
Oh, then you and I could easily have met.
Easily. In fact, we did.
It must have been when I was up there working on the old church.
It was, building the new tower.
Oh, quite a time ago.
10 years.
You must have been still a child.
I was.
Is this your first visit to our town, Miss Wangel?
My first.
You friends here?
Oh, only one.
And who's that?
You.
I?
May I stay the night?
Yes, I think that might be arranged.
You see, I have only the clothes I stand up in and one or two things in here which I should like to wash through, if I may.
Yes, certainly. I'll just, I'll go and tell my wife.
Thank you.
And I'll run over to my patient.
Oh, then you'll be back? The front door is on the latch.
Thank you. I shall count the minutes. Well, that was a premonition you had.
Premonition?
Just now, when you said there would be a voice on your doorstep, remember? Youth knocking at the door.
And so it turned out, though far more pleasantly than I was meaning.
No doubt about that.
Aline, dear.
Yes, what is it?
You have a visitor.
A visitor? For me?
Yes. A young lady who's come specially to see you.
Whom did you say it was, Halvard? Oh, Miss...
Wangel.
How do you do? How do you do?
The doctor's daughter from Lysanger. Miss Wangel's family wondered if she could stay the night with us.
With us? Oh, of course.
Just to get her clothes in order.
Yes, of course. Anything I can do to be of service. It's one's duty, isn't it, to help others? Your luggage will be here later?
I have no luggage.
Oh. Oh, well, never mind. If you'll excuse me, I'll just leave you with my husband. I'll go and get our spare room comfortable for you. It's not very big.
Why not the nursery?
Oh?
The nursery?
The children's room's upstairs. Oh, much more convenient, surely.
Yes. There's plenty of room there. Do make yourself at home, Miss Wangel.
Thank you. How many children have you?
We have no children.
Oh? Oh, I beg your pardon.
Tonight, though, the nursery will harbour a child.
And a child that will not cry, but will sleep like a stone.
You must be exhausted.
I am never exhausted. I will sleep tonight, though, lying up there, dreaming it will be quite wonderful.
What do you dream about?
I'll tell you another time.
Are you looking for something?
Oh, no, I'm just looking. Is it wrong of me?
Well, not at all. Look your fill.
Master Builder Solness. You even sign your name like that.
Yes.
I've always wondered, why do you not call yourself an architect?
I never have.
All the others do, and they're your inferiors.
Well, I suppose it's because I never took the degrees, but had to teach myself. No, Master Builder seemed good enough to me.
I like the sound of it, too. This isn't your writing.
No, my secretary's.
Male or female?
Female.
Married?
Single.
Single?
But soon to be married.
Oh, how nice for her.
Yes, but hardly for me. I shall have lost a very good secretary.
Can you not acquire another one just as good?
Why, would you care to apply for the post?
No, I should not.
Oh?
There must be other things to do in life besides entering lists in ledgers. What do you think?
Such as buying a few little things in the town tomorrow, Pretty things to wear? No?
All that can wait.
Oh.
I haven't a penny left.
What? No luggage and no money either?
Not a thing in the world. What is more, I don't care. I am here, and I don't care.
I like you for that.
Only for that?
No, not only for that. Your father, he's still alive?
Father? Yes.
Ah. Are you thinking perhaps of taking a college course here?
No.
Well, how long do you plan to stay?
It depends. Have you a notoriously bad memory?
Well, not as far as I know.
Then why have you not spoken to me of our first meeting?
What, 10 years ago? What could there be to speak of?
Can you stand there and say that?
Oh, very well then. You speak of it.
Very well. The day that Master Builder Solness finished building the new church tower...
Yes?
The town of Lysanger celebrated the occasion.
Oh, that I remember well. How could the most forgetful forget it?
A band played the whole day long, and there were hundreds and... I don't think I've ever seen so many people. We were all in white.
We?
From our school, and we each carried a flag.
Ah, those flags. I can see them now.
Suddenly, in the midst of the flag waving and the cheering and the music, there was a dead silence. We all looked up, and you were climbing up the scaffolding into the sun.
Ah, yes, the time-honored architect's custom. I was keen to observe it in those days.
The scaffolding of your own tower. You climbed and you climbed, with slung over your arm a great wreath of leaves.
Ah.
You climbed and you climbed, and when you reached the weather vane right at the top of the spire, slowly you hung the wreath on the topmost tip.
So I did.
Suppose, I thought, standing down there, suppose he were to fall.
Well, I could have done, as a matter of fact. For one of those little devils in white, it all comes back to me now, had the impertinence to shriek out at the top of her voice.
Oh, no, what did she shriek, the little devil?
Just, Master Builder, Master Builder, Master Builder, over and over again. Well, it was pretty disconcerting, I can tell you.
I was the little devil.
I see.
It was the most thrilling moment I had ever known. To begin with, I'd never imagined any man could build such a high tower. And then before my very eyes to see that man climb boldly to the very top. And not dizzy for a moment. I was the dizzy one, watching.
Shall I tell you something?
Yes?
When I heard that one shrill cry, I had to look down. And that did make my head swim suddenly, and in another minute...
Oh, don't. No, Oh, no, I can't believe you were dizzy. How could you have been and still sing?
What? Sing?
You sang.
I've never sung a note in my life.
I heard you. You were holding on to the weather vane with one arm and the other was outstretched, and you sang. It sounded like harps in the air.
How very odd.
Then afterwards came the important thing.
What, more important?
Do I have to remind you of that, too?
Oh, I'm afraid so.
Oh. Well, there was a great dinner in your honor.
I remember that.
After which you were invited to our house.
Of course. Miss Wangel, you have a memory for detail.
Detail? Is it a detail that when you arrived, I was alone in the room?
Were you?
And that you said something to me?
Well, what did I say? Did I call you a little devil?
You said that in my white dress, I looked like a little princess.
Well, I've no doubt you did. But what else did I say? It had been a wonderful day for me, I remember. I felt alive, as I've seldom felt alive.
You said that when I grew up, you would make me your princess.
Did I now?
You did. And when I asked how long I would have to wait, you swore you would come back in 10 years' time and carry me off like a mischievous troll to Spain or somewhere, where you would buy me a tiny kingdom. That was your promise.
Must have been a very good dinner.
You even told me what my kingdom was to be called.
What?
Arangia. The Kingdom of Arangia.
Oh, a nice, tasty name.
I didn't take to it at all.
Oh?
It sounded as if you were making fun of me.
Surely not.
No. Oh, no, I don't think you were. Not judging by what you did later.
What on earth was that?
Have you forgotten that, too?
Well, jog my memory. Well?
You took me in your arms.
I did?
And you kissed me.
Oh?
Not once. Many times.
My dear child.
Are you going to deny it?
I most certainly am. Now, Miss Wangel, now don't stand there like a graven image. This is something you dreamt. Now listen, wait a minute. There's something behind all this.
Well?
I can even tell you who made you dream it.
Oh?
It was I. I must have thought it, wished it, willed it, and so you believed it happened. Do you understand?
I only understand that it happened.
What? Well, very well then, I give in. It's happened.
You admit it?
I admit anything you like.
You admit you took me in your arms?
I admit.
And bent me backwards?
As far back as you like.
And kissed me?
And kissed you.
Many times?
As many as you like.
Good. I got it out of you in the end.
In the end. Strange that such a thing should have slipped my memory.
Is it that you have kissed so many in your time?
No, I wouldn't like you to go away with that impression. Miss Wangel.
Yes?
After I'd kissed you many times, what happened then?
The others came in. You know that. Nothing happened.
I see. Imagine my forgetting that, too.
You have forgotten nothing. One doesn't forget such things. It's just that you're a little ashamed, that's all. Have you forgotten the date as well?
The date?
The date when you hung the wreath on your tower.
Oh, well, it was autumn. The autumn of...
It was the 19th of September.
But surely today's...
Yes. Today is the 19th of September. It was 10 years ago today, and you didn't keep your promise.
My promise?
To return to me in 10 years.
A promise? No, more a threat, surely.
No, not a threat.
Well, a joke, then.
A joke? You said you would come back to me to tease me.
To tease you? Why not? I swear to you, I can't remember saying it. I must have been teasing you. Oh, my dear young lady, you were only a child.
Not entirely a child. Not such a silly child, either.
You mean to tell me that for 10 years you've been waiting for me to come back to you?
For 10 years, I have been waiting for you to come back and take me away with you.
Like a troll?
Like a troll, that's what you said.
And make you a princess?
And make me a princess.
With a kingdom thrown in?
Yes.
Eh?
Why not? To me, at that moment, the man who could build the highest tower in the world, why should he not be able to give me a kingdom?
Miss Wangel, I can't make you out.
Can't you? I should have thought I was as clear as daylight.
I simply cannot tell whether you mean all you're saying or
whether I am teasing you.
Exactly. How long have you known that I was a married man?
All the time. Why do you ask?
I just wondered. Why are you here?
Because the time is up.
The time?
The 10 years. I've come to claim my kingdom. My kingdom or your life.
You know, you're a mad creature. No, but seriously, Miss Wangel, why are you here? What are your plans?
The first thing I intend to do is to go round and study every single thing you've built.
You'll have your work cut out.
Oh, have you built so much?
Enough. Mostly during the last few years.
Many church towers. Tall towers.
Not anymore.
Oh? What do you build now?
Houses.
Oh.
Just houses for people.
Can't you build towers over them, too?
What did you say? Towers over houses?
Something climbing upwards, up into the air, as free as the air, with a weather vane piercing high into the sky.
How odd. How very odd.
What?
That you should say that. For it's exactly what I long to do and have never put into words.
Why don't you do it?
Oh, because people wouldn't tolerate it.
Oh, people, how stupid people can be.
No, but look. At this very moment, I'm completing a house for myself.
For yourself? Where?
Here, at the other end of the grounds, and I've given it a tower.
You have? A high tower?
A high tower.
With a spire?
With a spire.
Oh, as soon as I wake in the morning, I shall rush out and see it. When is it to be finished?
Tomorrow. At noon, tomorrow, the 20th, the workmen will pull the last tarpaulin from the scaffolding and... Miss Wangel, what is your first name?
Hilde.
Hilde.
You called me Hilde.
What, that evening?
Yes, that evening when you'd had such a good dinner. Only you called me Little Hilde. I didn't care for that.
Oh, Princess. Will that please you better?
No, not really. I don't think I want that kingdom after all.
What do you want?
Something different.
How strange it is.
What?
Looking back now, I feel I've for years been tormenting myself with trying to remember something I had experienced, something that refused and refused to come back to me.
You should have tied a knot in your handkerchief.
Then I should have gone around staring at the knot and wondering what it meant. What a piece of luck.
What?
That you were here.
Is it?
I've been alone, sitting here, alone and staring helplessly at the future.
Helplessly?
Yes, and I can tell you, I've begun to be afraid.
Afraid? You afraid of what?
The young.
Afraid of the young?
Afraid enough to lock myself in and wait. Wait for the beating on the door, then the splinter of wood, then the final breakthrough.
Why should you let the young break through? Why not just open the door and welcome them in?
Welcome them? No, I can't do that.
Why not?
Well, because youth, for me, can only mean change, new banners, retribution. No, there can be no welcome from me.
Can I be of use to you?
Yes, you can. For here you are, with a new banner, too, but of your very own. And on my side, youth versus youth.
Still on old times? The old church tower?
Well, we found a certain amount to talk about.
Old and new.
Indeed.
A wonderful talk. Did you know that Master Builder Solness was gifted with a phenomenal memory?
Really?
The tiniest details, there they are, crystal clear. It's quite uncanny.
Indeed.
I'm so sorry to have kept you waiting. Your room is quite ready.
Oh, you are too kind.
Have you put Hilde in the nursery?
Hilde?
It's my name.
Oh?
I've known Hilde since she was a child.
No, Halvard, really. Yes, I have turned the nursery into a guest room. And the guest must be famished. Do come along, Miss Wangel. Doctor, will you come?
You.
Did you mean that? That I can be of use to you?
For 10 years, without knowing it, I've waited for you.
You have? Oh, the world is a wonderful place.
Is it?
I came to claim my kingdom.
And you have it?
Have I? Could I know so quickly? No, not yet, perhaps. Not yet.
Come in.
Good morning.
Oh, yes?
I just wanted you to know that I'm here.
Oh, thank you. Is Ragnar not in yet?
Not yet. He had to wait to talk to the doctor.
The doctor?
About his father.
Oh, yes.
But he will be here. He's most anxious to hear your opinion of him.
How is the old man today?
Not at all well. He's forced to stay in bed for the rest of the day, and he begs you to excuse him.
Yes, of course. That's very sensible of him. Well, you settle down to work as soon as you can, will you?
Yes, of course. When Ragnar comes, will you speak to him?
No, well, I've really nothing to say. Well, Aline, what are you thinking?
I was wondering if the old man were going to die.
Oh, Aline, please take your mind off such things, please. Wouldn't it do you much more good to go for a walk?
Would it?
Is she still asleep?
Is Miss Wangel so much in your thoughts?
I just happened to think of her at that moment.
She was up and about very early.
Oh, was she indeed?
Yes, I could hear her in her room getting her clothes in order.
So, you see, we found a use for the children's rooms after all.
Indeed we have.
Well, isn't it better? That emptiness was horrible.
Yes, horrible.
From now on, Alina, everything is going to be better. Easier, happier. For you especially.
From now on?
Yes, please believe that.
Do you mean because she has come?
Not at all. I mean when we move into the new house.
Do you really believe that, Halvard? That the move will change everything?
Well, of course I do. You must believe it, too.
I just haven't thought about the new house.
Oh, how can you say that? When it stands out there on the very site of your old home. When it's mostly for you that I've been building it.
You're too kind, Halvard. You mustn't put me before yourself.
Alina, please don't be sarcastic. I find it very unsuitable in you. It's very unbecoming indeed.
I beg your pardon, Halvard. I had no intention.
I mean what I say. You'll find that the new house will give you a new lease of life.
Of life?
I promise you. Because being where it is, you'll find it full of every sort of reminder of the old house, of your parents.
My home was burnt. Burnt.
My poor Alina.
Building. That is all you have ever thought of.
Go on.
You can work, Halvard, until the day you die. But there is one thing you will never be able to build, and that is a home.
Shall we say, my dear Alina, that the subject is closed?
But the subject has never been opened. You push it away from you day and night.
Push it away from me? Why should I?
I know you better than you think. Oh, I realize that you're trying to spare my feelings, Halvard. I do. But there comes a moment when one must speak of certain things.
Very well, then. Let's speak out. One night, you and I suffered a most dreadful piece of bad luck, which none of us could or ever can control. Our house, your home, yes, your parents' home, was burnt to the ground.
It wasn't the fire. It was what happened after.
Don't, Alina, please. I beg of you, don't speak of that.
But I must. Sooner or later, I must. I cannot bear it any longer. I can never forgive myself for it, never.
What is there to forgive?
I had a double duty. I realize that now. I had a duty to you as well as to... After the fire, why could I not have been stronger? Why couldn't I have stifled my grief, my panic? Why?
Alina, You must promise me never again either to speak or even to think of such things. Now, promise me, my dear.
How can I promise?
Oh, please.
I can't.
Oh, it's intolerable. To live in a house with never a gleam of hope, not the faintest glimmer. It's intolerable.
And the new house will be just the same. Empty. Desolate.
Then why in God's name have we built it? Answer me that.
You mean, why have you built it, Halvard? And that is for you to answer.
What do you mean?
What I say.
No, what's behind that remark?
Behind it?
Yes, you said that very strangely, as if there was some special meaning behind it.
Did I?
Well, isn't it true that into my most innocent statements you read all kinds of furtive meanings?
Halvard, I assure you.
Oh, well, you may be right. You may be right. After all, when you have a sick man about the house...
Sick? Halvard, are you not well?
But you're wrong. Both of you, quite wrong.
Both?
You and the doctor. I'm as sane as you are.
Halvard, what is the matter with you?
I'm obsessed, Alina. Obsessed.
But, my dear, what is it that's preying on your mind?
My debt. The weight of my debt.
Halvard, you've never owed a penny to a soul.
It's you, Alina.
I? What do you mean? What is behind what you are saying?
Nothing. Alina, please believe me when I say that I have never meant to hurt you. Never, never. And yet, this terrible feeling of the harm I have done you, the weight of it, it's crushing me to the ground. I feel sometimes I can't bear it.
Halvard, perhaps you are a sick man.
It sounds like it, doesn't it? Ah, a ray of sunlight.
Good morning, Master Builder, Mrs. Solness.
Good morning.
Good morning.
You slept well?
As I said I would, like a stone, or rather like a child in its cradle. I lay there. After I woke, I stretched my arms, and I felt like a princess.
I'm glad you were comfortable.
Did you dream?
No. Oh, yes. Yes, I did, but it was a horrible one.
Oh?
I dreamt I was falling from the top of a terrifyingly high precipice, down and down. Oh, it was horrible. Do you ever have dreams like that?
Sometimes, and when I do, it makes my blood run cold.
Oh, yes, it's horrible, and yet somehow exciting.
Exciting?
Yes, when you feel yourself falling. In your dream, are your legs bent under you as you fall?
Bent double.
Yes, so are mine. Horrible. And exciting.
I'm going now, Halvard, to do my shopping.
Very well, my dear.
Is there anything you would like me to get for you, Miss Wangel?
Mrs. Solness, you are spoiling me.
Oh, not at all. You're our guest. It's my duty to see that you are comfortable.
Oh, thank you.
And to get you something to wear.
Oh, no, I've cleaned myself out. Don't I look satisfactory?
Satisfactory?
Ladylike enough to be seen in the streets of your town.
Frankly, I think one or two heads will be turned in your direction.
That's the least I can hope for. Honestly, what do you think?
Well, I think people might think you eccentric and might even come to the conclusion that you were mad as well.
As well? Why, who else is mad?
Oh, I am.
You?
Halvard, please don't joke.
Why, haven't you noticed it yet?
No. Well, in one particular, perhaps.
Ah, do you hear that, Aline?
What is the particular, Miss Wangel?
I don't think I'd better say.
No, please do.
Oh, no, shh.
Well, perhaps Miss Wangel will tell you, Halvard, when you are alone. After all, you knew her when she was a child, didn't you say?
I don't think your wife likes me.
No, my dear, it's your imagination.
You mean you didn't notice her manner?
Oh, these last few years, Alina has become more and more timid with strangers, but when you get to know her better, you'll find that inside she's the kindest and best of women.
All that about going to buy me something because it's her duty. How I hate that word.
Why?
Because it's ugly and sharp. Doesn't the word jab at you? Duty.
I've never thought about it.
If she's so kind, why should she have put it like that?
Well, how should she have
She
put
could have
it?
said she was going to buy me something because she liked me. Something friendly. Would it have been so difficult?
Friendliness and warmth, is that what you need?
Warmth, yes. I'd die without warmth. What a lot of books you've got. They must weigh tons. Have you read them all?
Oh, years ago. Do you read much?
Never, no. I used to. I just don't seem to settle down to books anymore.
Do you know, it's the same with me.
Did you draw all these?
No, they're the work of my assistant.
A young man?
Yes.
Did you teach him?
Well, let's hope he's learnt something from
He
me.
must be very gifted, don't you agree?
It's quite promising, but no more than that. He's very useful to
Oh,
me.
surely he must be really talented.
You mean you can tell that by just looking at those?
Oh, no, not from all this scrawling. I just mean that anybody who's trained under you must be talented.
Oh, thank you. Yes, it doesn't follow, of course. Many men trained by me have stayed as poor as they started.
Do you know, you're a very silly man.
Silly, me?
To waste your time teaching people who haven't 100th part of your talent.
Oh.
What on earth's the good of wasting yourself? Nobody but you should be allowed to build. You should stand alone.
Alone?
Alone and supreme. Now you know.
Hilde,
Yes?
what made you say all that?
Was I wrong to come out with it?
No. Shall I tell you something?
Yes?
I have been a lonely man, living in silence, intensely and incessantly lonely. And in that long loneliness and silence, I've never been free of that one thought, that I must stand supreme.
I see nothing wrong with that.
Yes, but you said just now that in one thing, I'm unbalanced.
Oh, yes, so I did. I was thinking of something quite different.
Oh?
Never mind. Oh.
What is it? What are you looking at?
A house. A new house rising out of a quarry. A house so new that the scaffolding is still there. So new that at noon today the last tarpaulin will be removed.
A perfectly ordinary house, it looks from here.
Not if you look up. It has a tower. A tall tower with a spire.
Ah, that is unusual.
Has that house got children's rooms too?
It has?
Will they be like these? Empty?
Empty.
Then I was right then.
When, just now?
Yes, when I agreed that you were somewhat mad.
So that's what you meant.
Well, isn't it a little strange to build nurseries when there's nothing to nurse?
It wasn't always like that.
Oh, you mean there was a child?
Children, 12 years ago. Twin boys. They lived 20 days. Hilde, to be able to talk about it at last. Oh, thank God for you.
You have her to talk to.
No, not about that, or about anything else for that matter.
And I am somebody to talk to. Is that all you meant last night?
Last night?
When you said I could be of use to you.
I suppose it was, but this morning...
Yes?
I'm not so sure. I think I've meant more than that. Sit down here, Hilde. Here, where you can see across the garden, over the quarry.
Oh, I can see everything. I have you before me, Master Builder.
And the new house.
You and your new house. Tell me.
Well, the first years of our marriage, she and I lived in another house on that very site.
Just there. No tower.
No, no tower. A huge, ugly old box.
So you pulled it down?
No, not as simple as that. It was a comfortable box, and we were a family.
You two and the twins.
Strong, healthy boys, and every day growing stronger and healthier. When she sat up in bed with one on each side of her, she looked beautiful. And then the house burnt down.
Oh, no.
No, everybody was saved, and the babies quite unharmed. But what with having to be carried out into the freezing night air, just as they all were, and the shock, she contracted a fever.
Yes?
A fever that poisoned.
Oh, tell me. Please tell me.
It affected the milk. But she had her duty, she said.
Her duty?
Her duty to feed the children.
Oh, how terrible for you.
How much more terrible for her. Oh, God, why should such things be allowed to happen? From the day they died, I've never felt the same about building churches.
My church tower at Lusana.
It was my last. I shall never build another church or church tower.
You changed the houses after the fire?
Yes, immediately. After I'd quickly put this place together, just for somewhere for us to live, I acquired most of the grounds, divided them up into lots, and set to work in the way I wanted to.
Never looked back.
Well, how would you describe my career?
Wonderfully fortunate.
Fortunate? You use that word too.
Well, you have been, if only you could learn not to brood.
How can one learn not to
but
brood?
It's 12 years.
With time, the brooding gets worse. Hilde, when you said just then that I had been fortunate,
yes?
Do you mean what I hope you mean?
Well, what did you think I meant?
That the fire was an instrument of good. For through it, have I not been granted the splendid task of building homes for human beings, beautiful places where fathers and mothers and children can grow together, secure and at peace, Happy in the big things of life, and in the little things, too. The house, a part of the family a part of the house.
Well, the knowledge that you have built all that must give you happiness, too.
Me? How can it, when I remember the price I have had to pay for it? Before I could build homes for all of them, I was forced to give up any thought of a home for myself forever.
Forever?
That's what the fire did, and her illness afterwards. No home for me, no contented wife, no happy children. Never.
And yet your new house at this very moment contains rooms that are to be empty.
What of them?
Rooms waiting for children. Why are they there?
Hilde, have you never observed that what never fails to fascinate one, to call to one,
Yes?
is the seemingly impossible?
Yes. Have you always felt that, too?
Always.
Then you have the devil in you, too.
The devil?
Well, what would you call it?
Troll, perhaps. Well, yes, the devil. You've said more than you know.
How?
Hilde, listen, because this is the truth. All that I have been successful in creating through my building, security, beauty, oh yes, splendor even. Well, is it not terrible to think?
What? Well, what is terrible to think?
That all that I have to pay for, oh, not in money, but in human happiness, and not only my own happiness, but to have to sit here day after day and watch.
You mean Aline?
Just as I had my life work, so she had hers. And in order that my mind should win its victory, hers had to be broken, crushed. You see, she had a gift for building, too.
Building?
Yes, while I was ordained to make houses and towers, she was meant to build, through her children, human beings with a mind and soul that could rise straight and strong and sure as a tower. That gift is forever useless. It's in ruins, a heap of ashes.
Well, even if that were so.
But it is so.
Yes, but you were not to blame.
Oh, wasn't I? That's the doubt that gnaws at me day and night, that I was to blame.
For the fire?
Everything, everything. And yet, I wasn't, was I? I was innocent, wasn't I?
Oh, of course. Of course you were. I don't like to hear you talk like this.
It's what I feel. Nothing can alter that.
I beg your pardon?
No, come in. Let's get things settled.
Settled? Thank you. If only things could be settled.
I'm sorry to hear that your father's still in a bad way.
Yes? I'm afraid he's failing.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Mr. Solness, please,
Yeah?
I beg of you, will you please write something at the foot of one of these designs?
What do you want me to write?
A kind word, something. Anything that my father can read before he dies.
I don't want to hear any more about your drawings.
Have you looked at them?
Yes, I have.
And they're no good. I'm no good.
Stay here with me, Ragnar, and you'll have everything you could want. You can marry Kaia, no worries, you'd live happily. All you have to do is to rid yourself of this idea of striking out as an architect on your own.
I see. I promised my father that I would tell him whatever you said. Is that what he's to hear before he dies?
You must tell him whatever you think fit. I should have thought, though, the best thing would be to tell him nothing. Well, my attitude is the only one I can take. I have no choice. Please believe that.
I may take my drawing.
Yes,
Thank
take
you.
them.
No, leave them.
Huh?
I should like to look at his drawings.
But you've seen that. Oh, very well, leave them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hadn't you better hurry home to your father?
Yes, I must.
Ragnar, please don't ask favors of me which I can't possibly grant. You mustn't. Do you hear?
Yes, sir. I beg your pardon.
That was unkind of you.
Was it?
It was more than unkind. It was hard and cruel and mean.
Hilde, I thought you understood me.
I do, but you have no right to behave like that.
Who was it who told me that I, and I only, should be allowed to build?
It is permissible for me to come out with such statements.
But not for me.
No, not for you.
Surely for me, most of all, considering the price I've had to pay for my success.
What has your success cost you?
Oh, my peace of mind.
Yes, that would seem to be true.
Sit down again, my dear. And let me tell you something.
Well?
Well, it's a ridiculous piece of information, But you see, it's what the whole thing hinges on. A crack in a chimney.
Oh?
A thin, black crack in an old chimney.
No more than that?
No more than that.
Go on.
Well, I'd noticed the crack months before the fire, before even the children were born. Every time I went up into the loft, I used to take a look, deliberately take a look to see if it was still there.
And it was?
Yes, it was. Nobody knew about it except myself.
And you didn't tell anyone?
I said nothing.
Didn't you think of having the chimney repaired?
I thought of it. I kept thinking of it. But every time I was going to do something about it, it was as if a hand reached out and got in the way. I'll do it tomorrow, I thought, each time. Tomorrow. And I did nothing.
Why?
Because I was thinking, making plans. Ambitious plans. Dreaming what through that little black crack in the chimney the future might hold.
The grounds being turned into lots?
Yes. Oh, it was all going to be so simple, so easy. It would be in winter, early evening, before dinner. I would be out in the sledge, taking Aline for a drive.
A particularly cold day?
Freezing, so cold that the servants would have piled the stoves extra high.
Because she feels the cold more than most?
More than most. And they'd want their mistress to come home to a warm hearth. So on the way back, turning a corner in the sledge, suddenly we would see smoke.
Only smoke?
Well, at first only smoke, but as we dashed up to the gate, the whole of that great empty wooden box would be standing before us, swallowed up by great flames. That was how I dreamed it would happen.
Oh, if only it had happened like that. Are you sure the fire was caused by the fault in the chimney?
On the contrary, I happen to know that the fault in the chimney had absolutely nothing to do with the fire.
What?
It was proved that the fire had started in a linen cupboard on the other side of the house.
Well, then what are you talking about?
Wait, Hilde, wait. Let me tell you the rest.
Well, provided this time you make a little more sense.
I'll try. Hilde, do you not agree with me that there are certain individuals who have been given a fatal faculty, a power, the power to wish for something so strongly, so inexorably, that in the end they will it to happen, and it does. Do you believe that this is so?
You really believe that if you had not willed it to happen, there would have been no fire?
I only know that if that house had belonged to old Brovik, it would never have burnt down to suit him.
Oh, if that is so, one of these days, I shall know if I am one of those with such a power.
Ah, but it's a power that has to be helped.
Where is that help to come from?
From agents. From your own secret agents.
Secret agents?
Forces that join in and cooperate. But they never come of themselves. They must be called. You must call them. And if you do, strongly, vehemently, from right inside yourself, they will come and they will bow to your will. I called them, and they came. That's why, Hilde, I am to blame for the deaths of my 2 children.
No!
I called my secret forces, they came, and they bowed to my will. I am to blame for the children, and just as bad for what my wife has developed into.
For that too?
Yes. For was she not cruelly deprived of the life that for her would have meant fulfillment? No, I'm the guilty one. And that's what people call being fortunate, having good luck. And shall I tell you how my good luck feels to me? It's like a great raw wound in my breast. And though I may will my secret agents to go round flaying pieces of skin off other people, I cannot will them to close my wound. That must bleed forever. Forever and ever.
You are a sick man.
Oh, say what you mean. Say that I'm mad.
No, not mad. Your mind seems to me to be in very good shape.
What disease am I suffering from, then?
Conscience.
Aren't we all prone to that?
Maybe, but we should be able to master it.
Like a horse, you mean? Is mine too strong?
Ungovernable.
Ah. And what of your conscience? Is that kept well in check?
I've never had any trouble with it.
I doubt whether yours has ever been severely tested.
Well, there was my father whom I adored. Saying goodbye to him was not so very easy.
What, for a couple of months?
I doubt if I shall ever go home again.
Never? But why did you leave?
Have you forgotten the 10 years are up?
Oh, that nonsense.
It's not nonsense.
Something inside me was driving me on and on. I knew I was breaking my father's heart by leaving, but I had to leave. I was drawn away. Fascinated.
There's a troll in you, too. Something inside you that calls on the secret agents, and after that, there's no turning back. Whether you want to or not, you give in to it.
You give in?
The whole world, Hilde, is filled with invisible spirits.
Trolls and spirits, too.
Good and bad spirits. And how is one to tell the one from the other? If only one could.
Or if only one had the strength to stifle that tiresome conscience and dare to do the thing one is longing to do.
Hilde, have you read any of the old sagas?
The old fairy stories, you mean? We had bits of them read to us at school, yes? What?
Tales of the Vikings who sailed to strange lands.
Yes, and plundered and burnt and killed.
And carried off women and kept them prisoner.
And took them home with them on their ships.
And behaved to them like beasts, treated them as slaves beneath contempt.
Oh, they never read us those bits. They sound exciting.
What, exciting to carry somebody off?
Oh, no, to be carried off.
I see.
What do you mean, though, about the Vikings?
Just that their consciences were kept thoroughly trained, at their beck and call, in fact. Pillage, murder, and then back home to good food and drink and sleep without dreams. As happy as children at play.
And the captive women?
More often than not, they never wanted to go home again. Can you understand that?
Oh, perfectly.
You mean you can imagine doing the same yourself?
Why not?
You mean you could live happily with a man who's more or less a beast?
If he were a beast who had endeared himself to me.
But could such a beast endear himself to you?
I fear he might. Is one free to choose whom one is to love?
No, I suppose it's the troll inside one that decides that.
And all those spirits you know so well, the good ones and the bad ones.
Let us hope, Hilde, that for you, the spirits will choose with care.
The spirits have chosen for me, with care, once and for all.
You are like a bird.
Yes.
A wild bird deep down in the woods.
No, I don't skulk under them. I hover high up in the air.
A bird of prey.
Why not?
No. A bird of prey? What do you mean?
Why should I not go hunting and seize what I want in my claws and do with it what I want to do with it?
Hilde, now I know what you are.
So do I. A bird of prey.
No. You're like the dawn of a very unusual day. Looking at you, I feel I'm face to face with the sunrise.
Master Builder?
Yes?
Are you sure you never called to me?
Called to you?
As you have when you've willed other things. Called to me from deep inside yourself.
Looking at you now, I almost believe that I did. That I called from deep, deep down inside myself.
When you called, what were you wanting?
Youth? I want youth.
Youth? Isn't that what you recoil from?
It's what I recoil from, and it's what I yearn for irresistibly. But I've seen those drawings, put them away.
You're going to write something on them for him.
Anything that I wrote would be a downright lie.
His father is dying. Are you going to refuse them both a little comfort before they part for good? If you wrote something encouraging, it might spur the young man on to forge out on his own.
Oh, don't worry. That's exactly what he would do.
Then wouldn't it be worth it to tell a harmless little lie?
Oh, put those damn drawings away. Hilde, don't tease me, I beg of you. I'm not a man to be teased.
You talk of trolls. You're something of a troll yourself. Where can I find pen and ink?
There's nothing like that in here.
In the office, then.
Oh, wait. Hilde. Come back. Perhaps I ought to tell a lie for the sake of the old father. Because I once did him a bad turn.
You did?
A very bad turn. I threw him aside. I elbowed him out of my way.
Why?
Because I needed the room for myself. Yes, I might atone to the old man. But the son must not be encouraged to become a success, not at any price.
Poor boy. Anyway, as he has no talent, how could he become a success?
I lied to you. He has talent.
Oh.
And if he's given any chance at all, he'll do to me what I did to his father. He'll elbow me out of his way. Hilde, he is the youth that's knocking at my door.
And you would lock him out? Shame on you.
How can I let him in, when that would mean the end of me?
Shame on you.
Oh, Hilde, I've fought and fought. A fight that has drawn so much blood that I can't go on.
But those secret agents?
They're no longer with me. I've lost my power over them.
Then there is only one thing for it. You will have to go ahead without them.
I can't. Hilde, sooner or later it has got to happen.
What?
Retribution. For me, there is no hope.
Oh, don't. Don't ever say that again, ever.
But it's true.
Do you want to kill me?
Kill you?
Take from me something that means more to me than life. My vision of you as a great man. A man with a wreath in his hand. Standing high at the topmost tip of a tower. You have a pencil.
Yes.
Then write something, just something to give him hope.
First, answer me one question.
Yes?
Is it true that for 10 years you've been waiting for me?
It is true.
Then why didn't you write to me?
No.
I would have answered.
That's just what I didn't want.
But why not?
It would have spoiled everything. You were going to write.
So I was.
From you. What a tribute. If you write that, you realize he will...
Be able to start up on his own, oh yes.
Even as you write, I can't help hating him.
Hilde, have you ever loved anybody?
What?
Have you ever loved anybody?
Anybody besides you mean?
Anybody besides me. Have you? In those 10 years? Ever?
Once or twice. When I lost patience with you for not keeping your promise.
So you've loved others?
One or two.
For how long?
Oh, weeks at a time. You know how it is.
Hilde, I asked you last night, and I ask it again.
Yes?
What have you come for?
We mustn't waste time on talk. An old man may be dying.
Answer me. What is it you want of me?
My kingdom.
There are some things for you, Miss Violet. The larger parcels are being sent on.
Mrs. Solness, you are too kind.
Not at all. As I said before, it is my duty.
Aline, did you notice if my secretary is out there?
Miss Firstly, yes. I'm sure she's at her desk, as usual.
Oh, then I'll give her the drawings and tell her...
Please, let me. It would give me such pleasure. What did you say her name was?
Miss Firstly.
No, I mean her first name. That sounds so cold.
I think it's Kaya.
Kaya?
Yes?
Kaya, please hurry. The master builder has something to give you.
Yes, Mr. Solness?
Kaya, you are to take these drawings to the young architect that did them.
Ragnar?
Yes, the master builder has written on them.
Oh, at last.
Let the old man see them as quickly as you can.
Yes, of course.
And then Ragnar will be able to start work.
On his own?
On his own.
Oh, but may he come back straight away and thank you?
No, I want no thanks.
Oh.
Tell him that, will you? Tell him, too, that from now on I don't anticipate seeing a great deal of him.
Oh, I see.
I think if that comes first from me, it clears the air for both of you, Miss Firstly. Don't you agree?
For both of us, Mr. Solness?
Well, of course. Because now the outlook is very changed. You'll have a great deal to think about. Plans to make. Isn't that good? Now, off you go, Miss Firstly.
Yeah, yes, Mr. Solness.
Well, go along. Don't keep the old man waiting.
What a strange look in her eyes. Did you see?
Strange.
The look of someone in pain and trying to hide it.
Oh, poor child. She's been fretting over the old man.
As much as that. Halvard. Are you really dismissing them?
Of course.
Miss Firstly, too.
Why, do you disapprove of that?
I was under the impression you found her indispensable.
Ah, nobody's indispensable.
You have someone else in mind? Someone to take her place?
Oh, don't look at me. I'm afraid I'd be useless behind a desk.
Things will sort themselves out. The important thing now, Aline, is the move. Our move into our new home. We must make it as soon as ever we can manage it. I tell you what. This afternoon, to celebrate, we'll see that a wreath hangs over the tip of the spire.
This afternoon?
Oh, no.
No? What's wrong with honoring an old tradition? Now, this minute I'll send one of my workmen into the town, and in a couple of hours we'll have the wreath ready.
Halvard, it is not fair to let any young man attempt such a thing, even if he offered to. 2 were killed last year trying it.
Over the tip of the spire, did you say?
The wreath shall be carried up that tower in the late sun and hung on the topmost tip. You approve, Miss Wangel?
Approve? To me, it's thrilling beyond words.
It shall be done.
To see you up there again after 10 years.
Me? I was thinking the foreman.
Oh, Miss Wangel, please, put such an idea out of your mind.
Why?
A man climbing high towers who's been subject to dizzy spells all his life.
Dizzy spells? I don't believe it.
It's true, I swear it.
But I've seen him myself at the top of the tallest church
Yes,
tower.
I know at Lusanger. People have told me. I've never been able to understand how it could have happened. Knowing him, it sounded impossible.
Impossible, yes. It sounded impossible, but I did climb up there, just the same. I did it.
But Halvard, how were you ever able to, when you always flinched at the idea even of leaning over your own balcony?
You'll not see me flinch this afternoon.
This afternoon? Oh, you're joking.
Of course I am.
Thank God.
But suppose I'd not been joking.
If you'd been serious, I should now be sending for Dr. Herdal.
The doctor, why?
Because it would only mean that you were ill. Really ill. Please, Halvard. Don't even joke about such an idea ever. I beg of you.
Was that right, what she said?
That I'm afraid of heights?
That the builder dare not climb as high as he can build?
Is that the only way you look at it?
Yes, it is.
I'm beginning to believe that there's not one corner of me, of my mind or my soul, that is safe from you. Where are you looking now?
You know where I'm looking. Up. High up.
You see that window, the highest of them all, nearest the top?
Yes.
That could be yours. You could live there like a princess.
And then your promise would be fulfilled.
Did I really promise that? Tell me.
Of course you did. You promised that you would make me a princess, that you would give me a kingdom, and then you went away and never returned.
But are you quite sure that it's not something you dreamt? A fantasy that has grown and grown?
You mean you didn't promise me anything?
Oh, I don't know myself now. I'm confused.
Very well, then. Perhaps you didn't.
But what I do know is that if I didn't promise you, I ought to have done. And this afternoon, my princess...
Yes?
I shall hang the wreath where it belongs.
Over your new home?
No. Over a house that can never be a home for me. But I shall hang the wreath.
Oh. How dare anyone suggest that you could feel dizzy? Oh, it will be thrilling. Beyond words. Thrilling.
Oh, Miss Wangel, did you have a pleasant walk?
Delightful, thank you, all over the garden.
What are you looking at?
The news has travelled in town. There's a crowd of people already waiting.
Already? Oh, dear. I can't help hoping no one will be found to volunteer. You've found some flowers, I see.
Oh, yes, there are hundreds of wild ones down under the bushes.
Still?
Haven't you seen them?
I never go down the garden.
You don't?
You find that strange?
Well, if it were me, I'd be running down every day just to see how things were.
I'm afraid my running days are over.
You must sometimes want to look at your garden.
Not anymore.
Why not? It's so beautiful.
The thought of going down there makes me almost afraid.
Afraid? Of your own garden?
I don't feel it is my own anymore.
What do you mean?
It doesn't belong to me in the way that it belonged in my parents' time. For one thing, there was so much more of it then.
What happened?
3/4 of it was taken away from me and divided up to build houses for strangers. People I've never seen peer at me from behind windows and stare over walls in my own garden.
Mrs. Solness, may I sit with you for a while?
Oh, do.
I love sitting in the sun. It makes me feel like a cat.
It's kind of you to want to sit here with me. I thought you were on your way in to join my husband.
Why should I want to join him?
To help him with his work, now Miss Fosley is gone.
I've told you already I'd make a hopeless secretary. Besides, he's not in. He's over there with the workman.
Oh, you've just left
Yes,
him?
I went up to talk to him, but he looked so serious I came away.
Serious?
He was talking to the foreman and pointing upwards.
Oh. Then the foreman must have offered to attempt the climb.
I imagine so.
Poor foolish man.
He was showing him the exact course the climb must take. He looked positively fierce.
Fierce? Oh, no, Miss Wangel, there is nothing fierce about Halvard. Fundamentally, my husband is a mild man.
Mild?
I might be as surprised as you at the thought after 20 hours.
What do you mean?
It's just 20 hours since you met. If you'd been in contact with him for 20 years, you might see him differently.
Are you happy to be moving into your new home?
If Halvard is happy at the idea, then I must be too.
Well, surely not just because of that.
Just because of that. It's my duty to submit myself to him. It's not always easy to subdue your will and force it to obey. Unless you're a saint, and I am not. It is not easy.
No, it must be very difficult.
Oh, it is, if you have as many faults as I have.
Oh, but you have suffered so much.
Who told you that?
Your husband.
Indeed?
You seem surprised.
Oh, it's just that he refers to these matters so seldom in front of me. Yes, there have been bad times.
Oh, yes, you saw your house burn down before your very eyes.
And with the house, everything we possessed, even the toys.
The toys?
The toys we had bought and put away for later.
Oh, of course.
When you were a little girl, Miss Wangel, did you have toys to play with?
I had my dolls, yes.
How many?
Oh, 1 or 2. I kept them in a drawer till I was about 16. Father said in our part of the world it brought good luck.
I kept my dolls, too. Nothing was left. Smoking, blackened walls. Nothing.
To think what followed was so much worse.
Worse?
The worst of all.
How do you mean?
The twins died.
Oh, that was different.
Different?
That was the will of God.
The will of God? That a mother should lose 2 children at once?
Yes, the will of God. To that we must submit. And even be thankful.
Are you thankful?
Not always, I'm afraid. I know well enough that it is my duty, but somehow or other I cannot.
Oh, why should you? Why should you in the name of...
In the name of whom, Miss Wangel?
In the name of God, shall we say.
I have to remind myself over and over again that the death of my 2 children was a just punishment.
Why? Again in God's name?
Because I failed him in my misfortune.
Why? Because
I
you
don't want to
grieved?
talk about it anymore.
I beg your pardon.
Let us just be glad for them.
For whom?
For my 2 dead children.
Glad for them?
Yes. Because where they are, they're happy. They're at peace. No, it's the unimportant losses that eat away the heart. The small, secret bereavements that to the rest of the world are nothing. Less than nothing, a grotesque joke.
Tell me the secret bereavements.
The miniatures on the walls that had hung there ever since I could crawl across the floor to look up at them. My mother's silk dresses, my grandmother's lace, her mother's bracelet, all gone. And worst of all, to have snatched away from me.
Yes?
How could you understand? Not a soul in the world could understand. Let us go in.
No, tell me, please. Aline, please, what was the precious possession the fire snatched from you?
Nobody knew of them. Nobody had ever set eyes on them.
Set eyes on what?
My dolls.
Your dolls?
My 9 beautiful dolls.
Oh.
I didn't put mine away as you did. They went on living with me. I never let them out of my sight. Except, of course...
When?
When he was about.
You kept them even after you were married?
Oh, I never let him catch sight of them, never. But they lived with me to the end.
Lived with you?
Yes, lived. even after the twins were born. Don't laugh at me.
I'm not laughing. How could
I've never
anybody
told
laugh?
anybody about them because they would have laughed at me. You see, my 9 dolls were more alive to me than... I used to clasp them to my heart like this, like children that could never be born. And then they were burned to death. It didn't occur to a soul to save them. And now I have nothing.
Nothing?
Tell me, is that my punishment, to have nothing? Because it was a wickedness to love them more than... Is that why I'm being punished?
Good afternoon, ladies. If you catch a chill, Mrs. Solness, I shall scold you.
I think we're safe. It's been such a warm day.
Is all well, then?
Why do you ask?
Your note to me.
Oh, yes. I wanted to talk to you about Halvard.
Well, then, won't you come in? Still dressed for the mountains, Miss Bangor?
Yes, I am. Am I not? Armed for adventure from head to toe.
And where do you plan risking your neck this time?
There's no risk this time, Doctor. You and I will have our feet firmly on the ground. Our eyes, though, will travel up and up.
Oh.
Oh, no, Miss Bangle, please. That poor foreman. Oh, here comes Halvard. We must try to coax him out of this mad idea. Miss Bangle.
Yes?
Will you be my friend?
Oh, if only I could.
Oh.
I do beg your pardon.
No. Let me beg yours. I'm afraid I'm not very demonstrative. Doctor, shall we go in?
She talked to you?
Yes.
Are you shivering?
I feel cold.
Well, cold today?
Chilled to the bone through and through.
But why?
I feel as though I have just stepped up out of a tomb.
I see.
Why are you here?
I caught sight of you.
And then saw she was with me.
Yes, and knew that she would do as she does so often, leave as I come near.
Does that cause you pain?
In a way, yes. In a way, too, it's a feeling of relief.
Could it be that as you draw near, you are willing her to disappear?
Perhaps that's more like it. And if it is, there's nothing I can do about it.
Is it that you dread being reminded of her pining after the...
Yes. Did you talk for long? Did you? What did she say? Was it about the 2 children? Poor Aline. She will never get over it, never. You're standing as you stood last evening, like a statue.
I must go away.
Away?
At once.
No.
I must. What place is there here for me?
Just be here, Hilde, be here.
No.
Oh, what would be wrong
Do you
with that?
think I would ever be content just to be?
So much the better.
No. No, I cannot do harm to her. I cannot. Any stranger, yes. Any woman I had never set eyes on, but after the things she said to me just now, how can I bear to take anything away that is left to her?
But why should you?
I am facing facts. I must go away.
And what of me? If you go, what have I to live for?
Your duty to her.
Too late. Those secret forces I spoke of.
The spirits, yes, the good and the bad spirits.
Yes, the bad spirits mostly, and the troll within me. They all joined forces for my sake and slowly drew the lifeblood from her to satisfy my ambition. And now, because of me, she's walking about dead. But I'm living and chained to a dead woman. I can't breathe. The only atmosphere in which I can flourish is the air of hope, the ozone of life. I can't go on without it.
What will you build next?
Shall I ever build again?
Not those cozy, happy homes for fathers and mothers and dozens of children.
Never again.
That sort of building doesn't interest you anymore.
Not anymore, no.
Oh, and to think of the time you have given to it.
Yes, 10 years of my life.
Oh, it's so stupid.
Stupid?
A stupid, senseless waste. That a human being cannot dare to grasp his own happiness, take hold of his own life, and just because of a second human being who stands in his light.
A second human being whom one has no right to brush aside.
No right? How can one be sure one does not have the right?
But just now you said
I
of her...
I know. Oh, I should like to fall asleep and forget everything.
Hilde, your life with your father up in Lysanger, was that a happy home?
A home. It was a cage.
Then you don't pine to go back?
Does a wild bird pine to leave the open sky for a cage?
It prefers adventure.
The luck of the chase.
The chase?
I told you, the wild bird is a bird of prey.
Ah. What was that we said about the Vikings and their way of life?
And the other thing we spoke of, which was a fine thing to live by.
A conscience that could be tamed like a horse.
I know what you will build next, Master Builder.
Well, if you know it's more than I do.
You will build a castle.
I see.
For me.
Go on.
Have you forgotten what you owe me?
A kingdom, yes, I have
Where
for the
else
moment.
can the owner of a kingdom dwell
But in a castle,
Then
yes.
build it for me.
What now?
At once.
This very minute?
This very minute. The 10 years are up. I can wait no longer.
You make a hard-hearted creditor.
My debtor should have thought of that before. It's too late now. My castle, please.
This castle, how do you see it?
How do I see it? High up. Very high up. With on all sides a view without end. So high that I can look down and see far, far away.
And on the castle, let me guess, a tower?
Oh, of course, a tower. A tall, tall tower. And at the very top of the tower, a balcony with a low railing. And I shall stand at the railing.
Oh, no.
Yes.
Can you bear the thought of looking down from such a height?
Bear it. I shall lean over the edge. And I shall look down on all the dear little churches and the cosy little boxes full of fathers and mothers and dozens of babies. And you will lean over with me.
The builder will have joined the princess?
If the master builder has a mind to.
The master builder has a mind to.
Then he will join the princess.
But had we not decided that he will never build again?
We will build together.
What?
The most wondrous, miraculous building in creation.
Hilde, tell me.
A castle. In the air.
In the air?
Do you know what that is?
You've just told me the most wonderful thing in creation.
Do you know why? Because a castle in the air is the easiest in the world to build. An idiot could build one, let alone a master builder, whose conscience makes him afraid of heights. And once built, a castle in the air is a perfect place in which to hide.
To hide? Hilde, from now on, you and I will build together.
In the air?
No, a castle built on solid rock.
Oh, look.
Who asked you to bring that wreath, Ragnar?
I had promised the foreman that I would.
Then your father's better.
No.
Well, was he pleased to read what I'd written?
It came too late. When your secretary arrived with it, he was unconscious.
Well, shouldn't you be with him then?
He has no more need of me. She is at his bedside.
Well, Kaya.
Miss Fosley, yes.
Right, now, please go home. Your place is with him, and with her. Give me the wreath.
Mr. Solness, you cannot mean that you aren't intending to climb that tower.
Give it me. And now go home.
Yes, I fully realize that from now on I'm no longer working for you, but today, with your permission, I should like to stay.
Oh? Well, as you wish. Today, you stay. Miss Wangel, what are you doing?
I'm choosing the exact spot where I shall stand soon and look straight up.
Ah, at the tower?
Yes. As it will be the most important moment of my life, I wish to be in the right place for it. Couldn't you have said thank you?
Thank you? To him?
Of course.
Why not to you?
To me.
Yes, you must have persuaded him to make the gesture. Miss Wangel, may I offer you a word of advice?
Advice?
2 words, but they're very easy to understand. Be careful.
What do you mean?
You think you know him.
I know him better than any human being has ever known any other human being.
No, that is where you're mistaken. You don't. I should have thanked him, should I? Thanked him for holding me down year after year after year. Thanked him for making my own father doubt me. For making me doubt myself. And why should he have done all that?
Why?
Oh, never mind.
No, why? Why should he have done all that?
To make sure she would stay with him.
She? Who might she be? The girl at the desk?
Yes. I refused to believe it, too. Till today.
What made you suddenly change your mind?
She did. She told me herself.
What did she say? Will you please repeat her exact words? What did she say?
She told me that he had taken possession of her mind.
Her mind?
You're asking for her words. I'm giving them to you. He's taken my thoughts, she said. I can never let him go. She said, I must stay wherever he stays.
How dare she?
What did you say?
How dare she?
Who is to send her away?
He will.
He?
Because he has no further need.
No further need. Oh, of course. Yes, I was puzzled, but I see it a bit more clearly now. Now, since yesterday, she's in his way. Is that it, Miss Wangel?
How can you be so obtuse? Shall I tell you why he has kept her with him all this time?
Why?
So that he could keep you.
He told you that.
He didn't need to tell me. It is so. It's my conviction that it is so. I will it to be so.
Yes, but the moment you walked into this house, he let her go just like that.
No, it was you he let go. If you think he's so susceptible to the first female that walks through his door, you are mistaken.
Then you really think that I have been the cause? That I've made him feel worried and afraid?
Afraid? Aren't you presuming too much?
No, not necessarily. I think he realized months ago that I had talent. Yes, afraid. That is the secret to his character. He's a coward.
Halvard Solness is not a coward.
Oh, yes, he is, in his own way. Solness the Great. The coward. Oh, there are certain things that I would shrink from that he does not fear. To ruin the lives of others, for example.
What lives?
My father's and mine. That he has done without shrinking. But to climb up that scaffolding, that is something he would pray to God to be excused from. Let the foreman risk his life, not he.
You would not say that if you'd seen him as I had seen him.
How was that?
Flinging a wreath over a weather vane. Free and proud, high up, a dizzy height, high, high, high.
Oh, that one time.
What
you mean.
one time?
The one time he dared to do such a thing. It was handed down to us youngsters. A legend. But no power on earth will ever get him to do it again.
We'll see.
Neither you nor I shall see, because such a thing won't happen.
It will happen. It will, it will, it will.
It will not. Because the great Solness, Miss Wangel, has one great failing.
Has he gone?
He's talking to the workmen.
He took the wreath with him.
The wreath? Oh, no. Does that mean... Ragnar, find him, please.
Yes, Mrs. Solness. Shall I say you wish to have a word with him?
Yes. No. Don't mention me. Say that someone wants to speak to him urgently and ask him to come here.
Yes, Mrs. Solness.
Miss Wangel, it must be hard for you to imagine how a wife worries about her husband.
Oh, is there so much to worry about?
Surely you can see that. Suppose he decided to do this mad thing himself. Suppose he really climbed up the scaffolding.
Do you think he might?
He's capable of anything.
Oh, so you believe he might?
Believe? I no longer know what to believe about him. Dr. Herdal has just told me one or two things about their conversation yesterday. And when I think of some of the other things that I've heard him say...
Will he be long?
He should be here in a minute. I've had him sent for.
Mrs. Solness, I think you better come indoors.
No, thank you, Doctor. I'll wait here for him.
But you have callers.
Callers?
They've this minute arrived.
Oh, no. At a moment like this...
That is precisely why. It is a group of inquisitive ladies who say that they will never forgive themselves if they miss the performance.
The performance? Oh, I must go into
them. Oh, no. Let me get rid of them for you.
No.
It's so easy. I can say that you're not well enough to receive them.
And I'll direct them down the lane to join the crowd.
No, please. If they have called on me, I must receive them. Miss Wangel?
Yes?
Will you be sure to be here when he comes?
And engage him in talk as long as you can.
But shouldn't you be doing that?
Yes, I suppose I should. That's my duty, but the other is my duty, too.
Oh, here he comes.
Oh, I must go in.
Don't tell him I am here.
Oh, no, Doctor, no. No, I shall try and find some other topic of conversation.
Please try.
There was a message that someone wanted to see me.
Yes, I sent it.
Oh, good. I was afraid it might be Aline or the doctor.
Afraid? Does it take so little to make you afraid?
What makes you say that?
I am constantly hearing how afraid you are. Afraid of scaffoldings, afraid of stumbling, and in front of a crowd falling head over heels, making yourself the laughingstock of your town.
No. I have a fear that goes deeper than that.
A fear of what?
Of retribution. Hilde, the first buildings I made, you know what they were?
Yes, I know.
I was a country boy. I came from a strict, God-fearing home. And I believed absolutely that the creation of a place of worship was the finest thing an architect could achieve. And I built churches, small, humble country churches. And to their creating, I gave my mind and my soul. I gave them a devotion so warm, so simple, so honest, that I thought that...
You thought what?
I believed that he was satisfied.
He?
He for whom I'd built my churches, to whose honor and glory they were to serve.
What makes you think God was not pleased with you?
Pleased with me? How could he be pleased with me when he created in me these spirits?
These devils, you mean?
These devils, and gave them leave to haunt me day and night and do with me exactly as they pleased. Hilde, that was why the house burnt down.
Because?
Because he had ordained that I should have the opportunity to become a success in my field, and so build more and more churches in his honor. Can you understand that? I didn't grasp it at first, and then one day it came to me.
When was that?
It was the day I finished the tower at Lushanger.
Oh, our church, go on.
Well, sitting alone up in that strange, wild place, I did a great deal of thinking, and it suddenly came to me why he had thought fit to take my children from me. It was so that I should have nothing to distract me from his work. No love, no joy. Do you see? I was to be a humble builder in his service until the day I died. Well, it was not to be.
You made up your mind.
I searched my soul, and then I tested myself.
Yes?
I thought, service. Am I then to be a servant for the rest of my life? No, I thought, I'm no servant. I'm as good as my master. Am I not also a builder? And so I made a test.
A test?
I thought, if he can accomplish the impossible, so can Halvard Solness. And I did. I would never climbed a step without my head reeling.
Oh, yes, that day.
I climbed and I climbed and I climbed. And as I stood at the very top, holding on by one hand while I placed the wreath on the weather vane, I looked up into the empty sky and I called to him.
That was what I heard. It was like harps in the air.
Almighty God, I called. From now on, I'm free of thee. From now on, no more churches. For now, I work for myself. I shall be the master builder.
I heard it.
Yes, that is what I dared to shout. To God. And God punished me.
How?
To work for yourself, it's without meaning. Building houses for people, what does it amount to? People do not rely on 4 walls and a roof for their happiness any more than I've done. Looking back now, since that day, all that I've built has added up to nothing.
And will you never build again?
Oh, yes. Yes, I shall begin at once to build the only place that can make for happiness and house it for good.
Our castle in the air?
A castle in the air.
Oh, but won't you turn dizzy before you're halfway to the top?
Not if I climb hand in hand with you.
With me? Aren't there to be a whole procession of us holding you by the hand?
What do you mean?
This girl you've had chained to your desk, this Kaya, isn't the poor thing to come too?
I see. My wife has been talking to you, has she?
Isn't it true?
It's a question not worth answering. Hilde, you must believe in me, utterly,
I have
completely.
believed in you. For 10 years, utterly and completely.
And you must go on doing so.
I shall, if you let me see you up there, free and at the very top.
But how... I can't do that every single day.
Oh, then do it only today, but do it.
The princess shall have her castle.
My castle in the air. Do you hear that?
Yes, in my honor.
And between the trees, look. Do you see?
A whole crowd of people come to watch.
They've come to watch you. Once more do the impossible. I want you to. I want you to for my sake.
Well, what is it now?
The foreman asks me to inform you that the crowd is beginning to wonder what's going to happen and when. He's waiting with a wreath. Everything's ready.
Well, tell him that I'm ready too.
Very well, Mr. Solness.
I shall do as I did the last time.
Yes.
As I reach the top, I shall call to him.
What will you say this time?
I shall say, Almighty God, thou must judge me, but from now on I shall build only one thing.
Yes.
The most wonderful creation in the world.
Yes, yes.
And I shall build it with a princess whom I love.
Yes. Tell him that.
And then I shall say, and now I shall climb down again, yes. Take her in my arms, and I shall kiss her.
Yes. Not once, many times. Say that, say it.
I shall kiss her not once, but many, many times. And having said that, I shall wave my hat, 1, 2, 3, and vault down to earth again.
Now I see you as I did when I heard harps in the air.
Oh, my child, what has made you what you are?
You. You have made me what I am.
Mr. Solness, the crowd is still waiting.
Very well, I'm coming.
Halvard, what are you going to do?
Oh, something very tame, my dear Aline. I shall shake hands with people, as I always do on these occasions, you know that, and then mingle with the crowd and watch the foreman climb up with the wreath.
Oh. Tell him to be careful. What a relief.
I was right, you see. He's put these mad ideas behind him and is seeing sense at last.
Oh, Miss Fanny, how can I ever thank you for being so firm with him? I could never have done it, never.
She certainly has a way with her.
Thank you, Doctor.
It's quite a gathering, Miss Vandal.
Yes, and growing every minute.
Do you see that group standing over there on its own?
What of them?
They're friends of mine, young architects like myself.
Why are they here?
They've come to watch the great man faced with the chance to climb his own tower, and then to watch him shirk the challenge.
I see.
Yes, after keeping us down for so long, it'll be highly enjoyable to see him kept down. Down among the populace, kept down by his own cowardice. Oh, yes, we're looking forward to seeing him down among the crowd.
If you expect to see him being jostled by the crowd, you will be disappointed. He will not be there.
Where then?
High up.
Nonsense. How can he be when everybody knows that a quarter of the way up he turns sick and giddy and have to crawl down again on his hands and knees?
Oh, there's the foreman, look. Starting up the bottom section of the ladder.
Oh, carrying that great wreath, too. I can't bear to look. Oh, I do hope he'll be careful.
But it's not the foreman.
It's...
What did I tell you?
What do you mean? It's Halvard. My husband. Halvard!
Don't shout, please.
Oh, but I must. This is madness. I must go to him. I must get him to come down at once.
No. Stand still. All of you. Not a sound.
Why are they silent?
They're watching.
He's on to the second section.
He wouldn't hear me now.
I can't bear it, I can't. Oh, God.
There he goes. Up. And up. And up. Oh. What have you to say now?
I can't bear it. I can't. Oh, God, watch over him. Oh, God, protect him.
There he goes. His foot off the ladder. He's onto the topmost planks. He's up onto the top ledge. He's at the top. Oh.
Don't move. Nobody move, please.
I don't believe it.
I've waited 10 years for this. At last. At last. There he stands, great and free. Look. Look, he's going to hang the wreath over the spire. Oh. There. What did I tell you?
But this is... We're watching something that can't be happening.
Yes. He is achieving the impossible. Can you see anyone else up there with him?
Anyone else? Well, how could there be?
Look. Look, he's talking to someone. And shaking his fist.
Yes, he is.
And can you hear what I hear?
No, not a sound. The crowd is holding its breath.
I can hear music. Oh, it's like harps in the window. No! He's holding on by one arm.
No.
And waving his hat to us. Oh, let's wave back. He's done it. He's won. Master Builder! Master Builder! What's happened?
He fell straight into the quarry. Head first.
I can't see him up there anymore. What's happened? He's not up there anymore. What's happened?
He couldn't do it.
He could. He did it. He reached to the top, and I heard the harps again. My master builder. My master